for coming back.
Absolutely.
Can you just give us a quick rundown again of your title, what you do here in Plattsburgh?
So my paid job is I'm the Deputy Commissioner at the Clinton County Board of Elections on the Democratic side, and then I also serve as chair for the Clinton County Democratic Committee.
Awesome. What a week, huh?
Yes, I know. We've been talking, and it's
Yeah, it's been
definitely
rough, right?
Yeah.
What is the one thing that you would say, like, in your work this week has been the hardest?
It's hardest because we're equally divided. So there's 3 Republicans and 3 Dems.
Okay.
And then we had to all come into work after not getting home till midnight, come together with half of us happy and half of us opposite of that. But we really have a job to do, and we all did a good job of focusing on that. But facing that head on, I'm sure a lot of us didn't even want to go to work on Wednesday.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah.
But you didn't have a choice.
We didn't have a choice. And then also going into that political environment, also going in knowing that they were happy about what happened. But
Yeah. Oof.
I know.
There's those of us that, I went to work and I knew the people that were probably happy, and thankfully, because I work in a professional environment, those people were professional and not. But I did not go to work on Wednesday, and I appreciate the people that are in the government positions that they're in that couldn't just call out. So thank you for going to work.
Yeah, my coworkers were great on both sides of the aisle. We got to work and it was good.
Job.
Absolutely.
So the big discussion, the big thing going on, and for good reason, is the special election. Stefanik has been offered a position as a UN ambassador, as we know, is kind of a hilarious, because we know Trump doesn't really take that position as a serious one. In fact, I think might be taking steps, if given the chance to, maybe not even be involved in the United Nations at all.
True.
But Stefanik was offered that seat. Now, people seem to be slightly confused, and for good reason. I don't think it happens a lot. What the special election is, what the process is for District 21, and really what it is people can do to help support the Democratic choice.
Okay. It's been a while since we've had one in this area. So you'd have to go back to Bill Owens around the time of Obama. That's the last time there was a special election for the 21st. But there recently were special elections for Higgins, which I had to go back and look like, who is that? But also Santos.
Okay.
We kind of all remember
Yeah.
Santos. So there's a well-structured process to follow. The 21st encompasses 15 counties, part or whole of 15 counties. And each county, like I'm the chair for Clinton County, there's a Democratic chair for each of those counties.
Okay.
So anyone that is interested should send letters of intent and or a resume to all of the 15 chairs, because we'll all vote in the end. So what will happen is those that are interested, we will meet at a certain spot, the 15 chairs, to interview the prospective candidates and then choose who we'd like to have on the ballot. Then the state Democratic Party will give them their certificate of nomination. So they are officially going to be the person on the ballot, the candidate to run for the special election for the 21st.
And what's the time frame for that? So Elise has to officially resign her seat, right?
Right. And there's speculation when she will do that. Will she play it safe in case there's any votes in Congress that she needs to be part of? Because they do have, I don't know if they have a slim majority, but it's close right now. So they need her to stay a voice until the inauguration. And then I think shortly after the inauguration is when the 90-day clock will start ticking. In that 90 days, the first 10, Governor Hochul has 10 days to announce the date of the special, and then we're off. If it takes her the full 10 and she announces, then we have 80 days for that person to run and hopefully win.
Okay, so, and I'm hopefully not sounding completely ignorant. So you have the 10 days after the inauguration, up to 10 days, for her to resign her seat. But she could sooner.
No, yeah, she could sooner, and she can resign at any point. Maybe she's going to wait until she's confirmed. I'm not sure what Stefanik or what they have planned for her to wait.
Okay.
But yeah, it doesn't officially start till she resigns, and then the governor will give us the date.
Awesome. And so the Republican candidate, you would have to assume, because this has been Elise's plan all along, is that she has always been probably in contact with an individual that she would see as her predecessor. So you have an idea of who that would be?
I think, yeah, the natural ones that we all go to, and on both sides, are Dan Steck for the Republicans and Billy Jones for the Democrats, because those are the two that are serving currently in the 115th and in the Senate, the 45th district, that serve our county as well as
county.
others. Yes.
Okay. And I think that coming out of the federal election, national election, with seeing how many people didn't vote, 14 million people didn't vote. And can you just, we mentioned it before we started filming, but can you give me the rough idea of how many people in our county did not vote this election?
So I think there's a little over 50,000, 50 to 55,000 that are registered in Clinton County to vote.
As Democrat?
No,
Or both?
all together.
All together,
And
okay.
it's not quite a third. Democrats have a majority in Clinton County, and then Republicans and non-affiliated, so those are independents or people that are registered, working families, conservative,
Okay.
make up the other third of the registered pie, if
Okay.
you will. So about 50 to 55,000 and around 30,000-ish, don't quote me, we've been crunching all kinds of numbers, so,
Sure.
voted. So which is actually a good voter turnout.
It is, okay.
Yes, and odd years like last year, it was nowhere near that.
Really?
Yeah, unfortunately.
So yeah, being newbie to numbers of of voting, I would hear like, wow, we're missing 20,000, and think that's a massive amount of people in a small area
True.
to not vote. And now more than ever, I just think of the disappointment we all felt after learning that Harris had lost, but then really looking at the fact that Trump had gotten 2 million votes less than he did even in 2016. So it's not even that he did better. It's that 14 million people didn't show up to vote. And trying to really, like, people need to be not picking apart, I feel like, the campaign of Harris, because A, she wasn't given that much time. B, it doesn't change the past, but C, so I think we were given enough information about both candidates to make a clear, decisive decision. Why did these people not show up to vote? And we were talking about that. Like, was it out of fear? Was it just turning off politics in your brain? And do we still, as the Democratic, party, marginalize ourselves to the point where we say, oh, because I don't align 150% with this person's beliefs, I'm just not going to vote for anybody. And it could have been a variable, amount of those things. But to avoid that from happening in the special election, understanding how important it is that the Democrats truly get their act together. And let's face it, the Republican Party, from my experience and seeing how they've structured themselves and planned, and it's the amount of support that Republican parties have always sort of given each other. They also have usually traditionally more voter turnout. It's really like, I don't see the infighting in the Republican side as much as I see on the Democratic side. And I say that probably out of ignorance, because I'm not in those conversations on the Republican side, but one would have to assume, based off of the voter turnout and obviously the results, is that really they're a lot more supportive of a gambit of policies, even if they don't 100% align. So people can say whatever the heck they want, and they're like, well, you're voting for the R, then I'm behind you. I think it's really important, as I've been part of this group, and if any of the states are watching this, different states outside of New York, outside of District 21, maybe you don't have a special election coming, but if we prepare for midterms, which are going to be extremely important in providing some safeguards to our states before the next federal election, is how can we stop marginalizing ourselves and infighting and saying we didn't do this, we didn't do that, and nitpicking, and just agree that we need to show up to support one another. And for the special election specifically, if it's not the candidate you thought it was going to be, that you're still going to just show up and support that candidate with the idea that this is the best person that's going to actually listen to the things that you want changed or the things that you want seen in your community. Right. And so I think that's like from my perspective is, okay, so 20,000 people didn't show up, and maybe that's better than previous years, but more so now, I think, than previous years. Is it probably, I feel like, a sense of urgency.
Agree.
And what do you think, or how do you feel from the position that you hold should be the takeaway for people that probably traditionally didn't vote, they're registered to vote, if they're scared or they're worried about people finding out about how they voted, or maybe it's not the candidate they wanted, but it's a different candidate. Like, what are your feelings about that? Like, how do you feel about it?
Working where at the Board of Elections, that piece, no one knows how you vote. 100% your vote, whether it's a mail-in ballot or voting in the machine, we can never tie that ballot to that person. I could go into the process, and maybe when we get later into this past the special, if anyone wants to come to the Board of Elections, or if you guys do, we can walk you through some of the processes that we go through. Everything is touched bipartisanly, so there's no way that we know how any one person voted. So feel free to vote your heart, vote your mind, vote what's best for you and your family. But I agree, it's a compromise, and I think sometimes we forget that who we're voting for, no one's perfect. I'm not, you're not, Harris wasn't.
Yep.
He certainly is not. But it's a compromise, and that's the best person for us to get behind. And just like we were talking about, sharing their Facebook posts isn't enough.
Right.
That's awesome that people support each other. And I think sometimes we have the blinders on. That I was surprised that Harris didn't win. I was surprised that she lost by so much. But I think we surrounded ourselves with like-minded people that we feel that it's going to be okay. Mm-hmm. That if all these people vote and we all think the same, we're all moving in the same direction. But that's what the algorithms do too.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's okay to turn on another news station to see what they're being fed. And we were talking about what the red states were seeing about Harris and other Dems running. So you have to get out and vote. You can't just assume that everything is going to go your way. And another election like this one was case in point.
Exactly. In New York State, we are fairly protected. Thankfully, Proposition 1 was passed. Yep. And, that was a huge relief. But you do have to wonder if New York City wasn't part of New York State, how successful that would have been. And, I think that especially in this group, when we talk about strengthening community and state, we have to make sure that we're involved on a local level and we're showing up to vote for those elections, because I know a lot of people my age, and especially people younger than me even, don't get involved. They don't vote. But they're the most affected by the things that are happening on a local and state level. And I know that it's a turnoff. Politics is a huge turnoff right now. You probably could do a survey, and the mental health of people that were involved in politics versus the mental health of people not. You're probably going to see a huge discrepancy just because we all took a huge toll from knowing. Knowledge is power, but ignorance is bliss. So take your pick.
True.
And so, wanting to be informed, but also then taking a step back and going, okay, my mental health is super important. I think there's a balance. And it's why it's really important that instead of getting into a rabbit hole of news and TikToks, which is easy, I'm not saying I haven't done it, but find out when your local party committees meet and your town committees meet, and they're probably boring, right? You probably show up and you're like, what did I come here for?
Yeah, to pay insurance, all in favor. I agree.
You're like, what am I here for? Go more than once. Go once a week. Get out of the house. It's a promise to yourself that you're actually doing something, even if you feel like you're not. Get to know the people that are in those offices, because you're also I feel like you're holding them accountable as well, because I have had meetings where a couple of the local town people are like, yeah, I volunteer, I did this, but I'm doing my best to do my part as a seated individual or a candidate in my town, but no one's coming to these things. And, it would be great if we had an audience and some feedback. And you also feel like when you're a person that's put yourself out there to represent your town, you want to feel, and this sounds kind of silly, but you do want to feel important. You want to feel like that you mattered, and that, putting yourself out there has some payoff. And it is a service to the community to sit in one of those positions, whether, us all sitting back and being like, backseat drivers, essentially just saying like, well, they shouldn't have done that. It's not helping.
No.
It's not supportive. So I'm trying to engage people to, okay, so if you live in this town, who in the group is going to this meeting? If you live in this town, because you can't be in all of them.
Right.
But if you have members that, want to get involved, don't know where to start, again, I go back to you, Brandi, as what is a good source for no matter where you live to start to find out where's the agenda for things?
I would see if they have a website. Start there. And if not, ask me. And if they don't have one, I will try to find out when their next meeting. So the county committee, we meet every month. We typically take off July and December. Our 2 months we don't meet. July because the busyness of summer, and that's when the fair is going on.
Yes.
December just for the holidays and let people chill after everything. Besides that, we do meet once a month. The towns aren't required to meet once a month. I know some towns do reach out to those that are on their email list saying, hey, we don't have too much going on right now, but if you want to meet, the Democrats say in Saranac, send us an email, and they send out informationals. So some towns do a better job. Maybe some towns could do a better job if they had more help.
Right.
Because the number of people that are involved is dwindling. And if you think about it, like in this case, I'm not making this decision on my own who the person will be that runs in this special, but I was elected to be the chair of Clinton County like the other 14 chairs were, and we will be making that decision. I'll be talking to my committee members, but we don't have to talk to our committee members.
You don't, okay.
But that's what they put the trust in me, right? To help make the decisions that are best for our county. But the input is what's important. You hit that spot on. And if we don't have the involvement, then we only have the impact of what the few want when we're trying to decide what's best for the whole. So the more people that are involved, it helps.
Better.
And it helps spread our message, right? How important it is to vote. How important it is just to come together and have fun together.
Yeah.
How important it is to make sure that we pay those bills and pass those resolutions, too.
And also the camaraderie, because I think that finding community and people so we all know the people we can't talk politics to, because it's frustrating if they don't know, and then you feel like you have to explain. And then being around people who are like-minded, who just get what you're saying, I feel like that's part of the reason why this group had become so successful. It's like, I can come here and you guys, and we're meeting women who understand and know. And so I think that people have lost the art of actual in-person connection. And so one of the things that we were brainstorming was perhaps creating a template that could be put out, once a month or whatever, that kind of broke down, especially in Clinton County, but even it could be broader than that, of when the county meetings are, when the town meetings are, just in one place, in a newsletter of sorts that could be pushed out into the group. I know that part of information overload is that you have all of the access to know all of the things on the internet, but they're not always necessarily centrally located in a spot that's easy for people to find. And therefore, you become overwhelmed. A Google search can give you 3,000 things, and it's trying to navigate that becomes overwhelming and then, quite frankly, exhausting.
True.
So one of the things that I'm going to be asking your help in is, creating a simple newsletter that could be put out to our show up group in the Plattsburgh group and the Saranac Lake group, local levels, and that the other states that are trying to kind of copycat what we're doing here in Plattsburgh could do the same. Find an individual who, is really steeped into the process and their local government, and using them because I imagine that you want to do these things.
Absolutely.
You want the engagement. And so really I beg people in the group to reach out and just ask for help. If this is something that, if you're a chat host and you have got your town and area, and again, you just call and ask or email and say, I'm part of a group. I would like to know when meetings are because I'm trying to get engagement from members to show up, to have conversations and have a meeting place, because just because you might be 10 minutes at a meeting doesn't mean you can't go and have drinks or apps somewhere afterwards with these women. And building a sense of community is just so important. But takeaway for a special election, what do you find is the most important thing for our party to remember going into the special election? What's at stake, and why it's so important that we try to flip this seat, because it's been red for so long.
Yeah, and flipping this seat won't give us the majority that we need
No.
at the national level, but it certainly does get us one person closer. And keeping these conversations and the momentum going over the next 2 years, which seems far away right now, but we're going to be blinking in an eye, and it's going to be 26, and we're going to be talking post-election.
Yeah.
So it's important that we all, and hopefully the momentum will stay, and we'll be able to stay engaged, and whenever you want to chat, and as we progress with these newsletters and getting info out, I think that's important. Supporting each other is the main thing. That's why the people that called in the state chats and you got the marches going, you already know who that person is that can maybe reach out then to call and find out when those town meetings are, when the county meetings are. They can also maybe be the person that then joins that county committee or town committee and helps them plan the next fundraiser. Not to make it all about money, but we know just planning the march, there was money involved in that. When we started talking in June, July, August, that we didn't even know was going to be thousands of dollars.
Right, exactly.
Everything is, unfortunately.
Everything costs money.
Yep. But I think you're right, too. We've lost that sense of community. Like, I even notice when I'm walking through a parking lot, people hardly say hi to each other anymore. And I don't know that it's not all COVID's fault.
No.
But we became each other's enemy in a way during COVID. Like we just kind of shut down to our little circles, and it's time that we break that out. It's okay to get together. We need each other. I miss seeing people. Zoom is a great way to connect with those that can't get to the meeting for whatever reason, but in person leads to those conversations. Then you go out for the apps after the meeting.
Exactly.
You come up with ideas out of the structure of the, the motions and the seconds and the having to close the meeting.
Yep.
So then as we progress through the special, that'll keep us focused on the importance of elections, the importance of voting, because the election turnout, and I have high hopes that it won't be, because I'm a very positive person.
Right.
But the voter turnout's going to be low. And I think that's why you say when Democrats show up, Democrats win.
Yes.
Because we have so many registered Democrats, more than any other party in Clinton County. So if we show up for whoever our candidate is for the 21st, we'll win. We just have to all show up for that person.
That's the most disappointing, is when people just don't show up.
Like what would have happened?
Yeah. Now, the special election, would it be a day that is a business day? And how much time do people have to prepare for that day for voting? And because as we know, election day, there's a whole lot of labor laws surrounding people given time to be able to go vote. And is it similar to that, or?
Yes,
it is.
The same rules will apply. We'll have 9 days of early voting starting the second Saturday before Election Day.
Okay.
So you have 2 full weekends, 1 full Monday through Friday, 2 late nights on Tuesday and Thursday, and then Election Day will be on a Tuesday.
Okay.
We're guessing April, May.
That's what you're thinking. Okay.
Maybe as early as March. Fall.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Again, I depend on you for the specifics of things. I do think that even I am to blame. If you don't understand something, you assume something's not in place. It doesn't help when people spread misinformation that we don't know what we're doing, or we don't know what's going to happen. And in fact, we do know what we're doing, and we do know what's going to happen. It just sounds to me as if we have to wait for one thing to happen before the next thing is planned.
Exactly.
And so before people get too ahead of themselves, I think that the only thing that we have to keep in mind in every step and process is we're here to support the Democratic candidate. Whoever that may be, we support them, because this is the only way forward in making sure that our voices are heard as a Democratic Party. And hopefully we'll get somebody strong enough on the ticket that has a chance of winning. Because as we know, if we just get a cookie cutter Stefanik, we've seen the mentality of our district. And so, but again, I'll stay positive like you, Brandi.
Absolutely.
If we show up, if Democrats vote, we will win.
We will win.
So you spread the word, encourage people to vote. If you know somebody who's not voting, ask them why. If you know them well enough to know a situation that they're in, or a program that is near and dear to them, remind them again what is at stake. And you just hope that you can make those connections and get off your phones, stop spreading memes, and take a break from the media circus and focus on the things that we can control. And so
Absolutely.
Thanks, Brandi. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you being here.
Anytime.
And we will touch base again probably before the election to do a follow-up.
Hopefully.
But thanks so
All
much.
right, sounds good. Thanks. Thank you.